Okay, here we're for segment 2, relationships and the games people play. Well, I don't want to make it personal. On the other hand, relationships are personal, and we need relationships in order to succeed in life. Success is built on long term relationships that work, and it takes time to build that relationship. And you have to allow people to be human. And I'm saying, in our very precious humanity, having been on my channel, we've talked about pro life, health, wellness, mental health, vaccinations. We've talked about a variety of things that impact you, maybe me, maybe my neighbor personally. We've been tested. Some of us, our buttons have been pushed before. We know. We know when somebody says something and they don't apologize, and then you're there 20 years later talking about it like we are now. We've been through all those things when it threads through your life. You realize that your life is woven into these experiences and situations, and you don't know that until you get older and mature. And at the age of maturity, you start to realize things, even in your effort, your best efforts, that person's not coming back. That relationship had ended, or for whatever reasons, it didn't materialize. And I'm here to say this to someone who needs to hear it. Do all that you can to make things right in those relationships. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. It is true. I could have ruined a lot of relationships because of anger. Anger is a very real emotion. It says, be angry, but do not sin. When you're angry, or when I'm angry, or this person's angry around me, the initial thing is you're going to act out on that anger, and that's what makes it worse. You could be angry. Anger is a totally legitimate emotion. Just don't let something come of it. Like, one thing is, when somebody crosses my boundary, for example, the first time it might not, it might come to a shock to me. The second time, I'm bothered by it. And then the person repeatedly does it. It's called iniquity. Iniquity abounds and the love of many wax cold, because over a period of time, if somebody continues to do that same thing over and over again, you're not going to love that person the same. In fact, you're going to want to be further apart from that person, and they're going to wonder, maybe like down the road, well, why doesn't that person talk to you? It's because you continually did it over and over again, and you didn't show respect for me and what I wanted. That's iniquity. When somebody wants to communicate about something and does it respectfully without purposely being rude, there's a lot of times people make mistakes. So that we have this conversation laid out. People make mistakes, and I'm allowed to make mistakes. I was not given the benefit of the doubt. That's why I wanted to make sure I talked to the person I needed to talk to directly, because of the passive aggressive people I deal with and the ones that are narcissistic. Because they didn't give me the chance I deserved. Because they were narcissists and they were sociopaths. I know for a fact that if I didn't direct my comments to those individuals or say what I needed to say, I wouldn't get the chance to say anything. And that is the truth in relationships. You want to save yourself grief and harm and pain? Don't try to please a narcissist or a passive aggressive person, because they will not do anything but hurt the persons in you and those people who are genuinely trying to do something right. We were genuinely trying to do something right when we moved up to Zelienople, Pennsylvania in 1985, and those people continually, repeatedly hurt us. There is no valid reason for that. None. Especially when you have experienced pain. If you've ever experienced pain of a divorce or pain of a broken home. And I speak to the people who get where I'm going. This is what's playing out on the streets of United States of America. You got children from a broken home who have been manipulated and been taught to hate this country. And no, it's not about kneeling as much as it's about those people have been taught this. Learned behaviors. Someone taught, and they go along and they follow along like follow the leader. One person kneels down, then the next person does it. That's how children are. That is what you're dealing with out there. So be ready for pregame. Okay, for the games that people play, okay? You're going to see what's going to play out in the football field. You know what's going to play out in the baseball field. I was a young girl before, okay? I know that what happens is when they play the game of football, just like the games that people play with people's emotions, what happens is that person wants to throw that ball, and they want to make sure they get that pass to the best person that is who's got an opening to go all the way down and hit, get the touchdown. I'm not a baseball coach, but I'm going to tell you, life coaching is much like the game of life. We want to be able to go out there and succeed. When you have children in a broken home, and this is what's going on in Harlem, this is what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri, this is what's going on in Minnesota, this is what's going on in Pittsburgh, this is what's going on in Portland, Oregon. You got a lot of young people following along and playing follow the leader. And there are a lot of brown shirts, by today's standards, that's what they are, trying to mislead your kids. It's time for parents to be parents and sit down with their kids before their kids don't have a future. The future of America is in our youth. And who knew better than to indoctrinate the youth than Hitler, who did this in 1933. It took almost a generation to indoctrinate. And do you know it has lasted up until up until recently? So when we talk about Black Lives Matter, it's a generational curse in Jesus' name, and it's broken. We want that generational curse broken. See, we could get all wrapped up into this discussion, and I'm going to tell you, the future of America is not in the hands of your children. It's in the hands of parents that need to sit down and be parents, okay? Not all mother and fathers who give birth to children are parents either. A lot of times the grandparents might be doing the parenting. Maybe for no fault of their own, they became parents. Or play the parent role. This is what's going on with dysfunction. It's getting a home to be functional. And not accusing people of things, because I'm going to tell you, those accusations over across the street or down the road, they come with a cost. It could cost you your relationship. It could cost you your future with a potential good relationship. There's a lot of people that I grew up with who are accusing people of things even today in high school and junior high. Do you know the junior high where these girls were stalking me as I was talking about it in the junior high radio show? Do you know, I still do not go to that neighborhood or that area. So wait till you hear segment 3 on this, because you will be surprised how much more I have to share that is going to be valuable.